Good afternoon, audience. Welcome to contract review for November 2023. Wasn't it yesterday? We're here for January, it feels like. Glad to have everyone here. The first item on the agenda that I'd submit for everyone to take a look at is the meeting schedule for 2024, and everyone has a copy of that. It'll be very similar to what it was this year. In session days will be 8:30 in the morning. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. 8:30, and then every first Thursday of the month, 1:30 p.m. Is there a motion that we approve this? It will be posted on the website also. So there's a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none. With that, Madam Clerk, would you call roll, please?
Senator Albritton, Senator Beasley, Senator Elliott,
Here.
Representative England, Representative Garrett, Senator Orr, Representative Pringle,
Here.
Representative Reynolds, Senator Roberts,
Here.
Representative Witt,
Here.
Senator Butler.
Madam Clerk, any other business we need to attend to? Committee business? All right, with that, we'll start. We had 42 contract submissions this month. Of the 42, 5 agencies' contracts were rejected for failure to comply with committee policy and statutes. Of the 37 remaining contracts, 6 were initially rejected for failing to submit the proper contract review report or failing to do it correctly or comply with committee rules and policies and applicable statutes. We can do better is I'm asking you to help us do better in your submission. And some of those are not here today whose were rejected, but I would like to do better. It's a tremendous amount of work, as we've talked about, on our staff, back and forth, back and forth. We want your contracts to go through, and we're doing everything we can to help be successful with that. All right, so with that, let's start with page 1, Alabama State Bar. RFP'd in 2023 makes us really happy.
Good afternoon. My name is Chad Coker with the Alabama State Bar. We have before you a contract to engage the services of an outside accountant to conduct an independent financial audit of the Alabama State Bar.
Thanks, Chad. Any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you, Chad. Athletic Trainers Board.
Commission.
I'm Tara Hetzel from the Alabama Attorney General's Office, and I am representing today the Athletic Trainers Board in their contract for administrative services, which was RFP'd recently.
Okay. Any questions? Senator Butler.
We've got a question. I've got a note here that, excuse me for being hoarse. I've got a note here that the contract also includes a 5% yearly increase. Is that correct?
I would have to go back and look. I'm filling in for the attorney that normally does the, represents the board, but I can look through the contract and.
The vendor is Smith Warren Management Services.
Correct.
And the note that I've got here says the increase of $12,600 per year, or 32.8% increase, includes a 5% yearly increase. And I've never seen that before. And that's like guaranteeing them a increase every year, regardless of what revenue is for the state.
I see that clause now, and yes, you are correct. That does say that the contract has a 5% increase per
I
year.
want to hold that contract.
Yes, sir.
And any contract that's got that already in there, a built-in increase like that on a yearly basis, ad infinitum, just every year they're guaranteed a 5% increase. We need to look at that annually, so I just like to hold those contracts.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, the point, I've got a question that's as applicable on the next one that I would tell you too, Senator Butler. This is an increase of 21.4% over what it's been. Help us understand what that is for, why the increase?
That is what the parties agreed to during their negotiation process. And I'm sorry, I'm at a disadvantage because I'm not the attorney that normally handles this board.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, may I real
Yes,
quick?
please.
Because
But I'll be glad to get the information for you.
I appreciate that. This is just a little point of clarification, and if anything has proved the point that I've said over and over again, is I am now confused between the Athletic Commission
Right.
and the Athletic Trainers Board that are,
This is Athletic Commission.
this is the
This is the trainers. You skipped over the commission,
very good. I just wanted to be clear to see who you were representing. So
trainers.
you're on the trainers. We'll go back to commission. I'm sure the chairman will do that. So that meant that Senator Butler's comments were
Or
appropriate.
Jermaine.
Got it. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
All right, well,
that's
this
fine.
one is 32.8% increase
Okay.
over last year.
I will
I
be
asked
glad
this
to.
question last month and it's inflation was the response. Is that what y'all remember, the response being inflation? To which I think no one would argue 7%, but this is 32.8% increase over last year.
Well, I'll be glad to get a more detailed answer for you and supply it.
And there is a 5% per annum forever increase to this already 32.8%.
Yes, sir.
increase baked in the cake. So I think as Senator Butler said, and there may be another one that we'll discuss similar on this.
Okay.
But a 5% increase per annum, I believe a meeting with our CPOs in order here to have a discussion to understand the logic of this is, I think, the point of clarification we're after. And Senator Butler will hold this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I apologize. The Athletic Commission, Paris Enterprises.
Senator Joel Blankenship, Chairman, Alabama Athletic Commission. What you have in front of us is after years of unfortunately operating off emergency contracts, we have put out a request for production this year. This contract would be to Paris Enterprises to provide the administrative services necessary for the commission to run.
Help me understand the 21.4% increase over last year.
It's
please.
twofold, sir. So first of all, it is an increase based upon inflation. It's also based upon the number of events that have occurred in the state. We've had an increased number of events, which our staff is required to go to the events. We've had more MMA, more boxing matches, which the staff is required to be there live on weekends for that, as well as times that we've had to split staff in order to go to two events that are happening in different parts of the state on the same day. This allows for the hiring of extra persons to help facilitate those events and go forward on that.
And it's also sole source. Help me understand.
No, sir, it is not sole source. That box was incorrectly checked.
Okay,
There were
okay.
two submissions
And that
were
was
made.
corrected.
Yes,
You're
sir.
right. Thank you, Attorney Blankenship. You're most kind. All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it. All right, we've already dealt with athletic trainers, conservation.
Good afternoon, Chairman Roberts, members of the committee, Juliana Dean for Conservation. We have two contracts before you today. The first one is with MGT for the calculation of our indirect cost rate.
Okay, any questions? Okay, next.
Thank you. The second one is a no-cost time extension for engineering services for wastewater facilities in our state parks.
Any questions? Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, sir.
All right, corrections.
Good afternoon. I'm Mandy Spears with the Department of Corrections. Today we have one contract. It is a no-cost time extension for GEO reentry. GEO provides the Alabama Therapeutic Educational Facility. This is located in Columbiana. This is a secure residential facility where some ADOC medium security inmates are housed before being transitioned to work release centers.
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm grateful they're in business. Help me understand, this is a huge contract, as we know, $58 million.
Yes, sir.
Unpack it a little bit more for us, please, ma'am.
Okay. They provide housing, food, everything for the inmates that live there. There are about 1,000 inmates that they provide these services for. They provide extensive educational programming.
All right.
Follow up if I can, Mr. Chairman. So for how, this $58 million, what period of time is that covered?
It's 5 years. We negotiated the cost terms in year one, and we got those in writing in year one.
That's 2023, year one?
No, 2023 is year three.
Okay.
This was a 5-year contract that was already approved. The dollars were approved in 2020 when it was RFP.
Right.
I think it went into effect 2021. Yeah, the current contract went into effect December 1, 2021, expired November 30th, 2023. And it was a standard contract, 2 years with 3 optional 1-year renewals. However, in that initial contract, we agreed to the 5-year price. If we elect to go 5 years, year 3 will be this amount, year 4, year 5. And those amounts were approved in 2021.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Credit union, top of page 4.
Good afternoon. Greg McClellan with the Credit Union Administration. We have a contract proposal with FedFiz LLC. It's a software program subscription, and it will take all the data from all the credit unions, crunch that together where we're doing it through an Excel spreadsheet now.
First of all, thank you for getting them registered with Secretary of State. We appreciate that very much. Good catch on our team there.
Yeah.
And getting that corrected. Any questions? Thank you, sir. Dental Scholarships and Loan Awards Board, page 5.
Hello, I'm Robert Jones. I'm chairman of the Board of Dental Scholarships. Our function as a board is to award rural scholarships to dental students with the agreement that they'll repay those awards in 4 or 5 year service agreements. And we're just here to request approval of a contract for our administrative services to Benko and Company LLC.
20% increase in year over year in the amount to do this work. Thoughts on that besides inflation?
I'd have to run the numbers and see. I think we're going from 17,000 to 20,400. And this will be the first increase in 6 years.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Education.
Good afternoon, Tina Hammonds for the State Department of Education. We have 6 contracts today. Our first contract is 100% federal funds, and it is with Arroyo Research Services. And this is for Migrant Education Program Identification and Recruitment Services. The word migrant, to be clear, in this program is actually tracking migratory students. So these are students who move at least every 3 years for a qualifying work in agriculture or fishing with their family for economic necessity. It works with recruitment services, out-of-school youth recruitment and services. It integrates with MSIX, the Migrant Student Information Exchange, and it helps us to create a comprehensive needs analysis for these students from 0 to 21.
Okay. The jargon please try to do a little bit better so that we're crystal clear on the definitions of those. Sole source, help me understand. I'm gonna ask you that several times.
That's fine. Yes, sir, I
I
anticipate.
got your letter, read the letter on what that was purporting to do.
It's my understanding that this is the only company. It is based in North Carolina, and it is required for us to use this company to be able to support our migrant education program and to integrate with MSIX. And so this is going to be the sole source that is capable of doing that. And so this is who we use. Nationwide, it is used for these services.
In Alabama, the universe that we're talking about here, number of students,
I do not have that information, but I can get it for you.
it would just be of interest. Any questions? Okay. Next. United Way.
United Ways of Alabama, this is again a federal funds contract, and this is for the 211 connections for homeless families with school-aged children. The United Way agency employs operators to specifically handle crises for families with school-aged children in Alabama that come in through the 211 program.
Questions?
Yeah, the chairman hadn't asked it. I'm a big fan of United Way and what they do.
Agree.
Sole source?
Yes, sir, I inquired about that, and apparently this is the only organization that integrates with 211 to be able to plug people into these resources and have been doing so for several years. I believe they've been providing this specific resource for several years, and there's no one else that's integrating with 211 to provide these specific homeless services and integrations with other community sources.
Is this United Way themselves, or is it one of their, another one of their partner organizations?
It's actually, it's United Ways, but it is the United Way, yes, sir. And so they integrate with all of the different resources that are plugged in to the United Way, and they make the interface between people who are in crisis with children that make the calls to 211 so that they can receive the resources they need.
Okay. And is this handled for the whole state through 211?
That is my understanding. I'm not sure if they're...
I've never heard of 211.
I'm not sure how many counties it serves now, if it does serve every county or not, but I believe it's supposed to be statewide at this point, but I can find out about that for you also.
I think that would be of interest. Any other questions? Thank you. Council for Leadership in Alabama Schools, sole source.
Yes, sir. This is the brand new program that is being initiated under the Principals Act that was passed last year, well, this year. The Principal Mentoring Services will be provided as a part of the School Principal and Leadership Mentoring Act, which was just passed by the legislature. And the design team has voted to move forward with class, but there was also specific language in the statute about being able to provide specific professional development to principals with the Principals Association and Connections, and so this is the one entity that does and will be able to provide those services.
RFP not required per legislation, or?
Well, the legislation was so specific on what the group needed to be and what the group needed to be able to provide.
Yeah.
And we had inquired a little bit about how the contracting should go for that. So the design team was allowed to look at the legislation and make a decision about if they should move forward with the specific language of the legislation, and they did and voted to move forward with class.
Thank you. Questions? All right, next, TRI Leadership.
Yes, sir. So this one
is the sole source.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're gonna, like you said, you hear that a bunch.
So, on the front of it being a sole source, it is my understanding that this provides programming and events, professional development, and training geared towards CTE students and career technical student organization members. And the sole source piece has to do with the fact that this is the sole source provider for the career and technical student organizations, the CTSOs. And for more than a decade, this is the only company in America that meets the Alabama CTE plus CTSO requirements because of their proprietary programs for student organizations and teachers.
I'm trying to figure out what would happen if we RFP'd it is, I guess, my question.
Well,
just the sole source and
Yes, sir.
on Alabama on top of that.
And I understand that.
I get it. We've had multiple discussions about this.
And I made the inquiries about that, and the program directors have, intimated to me and shown to me that there isn't another source that they know of or have been able to recognize or have ever known of or heard of that could provide these services. But
So what if we RFP'd it then? And only one response came back,
right,
and they're the only ones that met it. But, believe it or not, sometimes I'll file a piece of legislation and I won't know who all the players are. And you know what?
Yes, sir.
They show up real quick.
Right.
And then I learn something. I mean, Mr. Chairman, you think for RFP something, sometimes you find out somebody
I agree.
that can do this work or is interested or could tweak a program that they, it's $3.4 million.
100% state money also.
Yeah.
We're not trying to give you a hard time.
I understand.
It's just we are trying to take care of Alabama dollars and Alabama employers and opportunities here. I agree with my colleague, Senator Elliott, on that. How can we help you get things like this done, RFP-wise? It just makes sense.
We can have a conversation about that internally. We are having those conversations. I had conversations about each one of these when they came forward for me to present. But for example,
And I'm sure you don't enjoy this either. I understand.
the thing is, I think a lot of the things that we do are either federally or state mandated, and in many situations, there is one person who's developed a niche to be able to provide those services.
Sure.
And the folks that are so intimately aware of the things that they do, they're nationally trained, state trained, they're aware of the fact that there's only one conduit for the services that they're needing. We're certainly open to new resources that might want to grow into those spaces, but I think a lot of our educational spaces are very specialized. People have found that niche and they're there, and that's the one source. Sometimes it's actually statutorily required, especially in some of our federal programs, to use a particular software or a particular program.
Yeah, this is 100% state monies
Yes, sir.
going. It's where my frustration comes up with that. Any other questions? Senator Elliott? No. All right. Metametrics.
Metametrics. So this is a framework for measuring scales for use in providing common supplemental metrics for the measurement of reading ability and mathematical ability, and it is linked to the Alabama Comprehensive Assessment Program Summative Assessment, which is our ACAP exam for English language arts and mathematics. We've been working with them for approximately 4 years, and this company provides testing that creates quantile and lexile scores that show kids' abilities in math and in language, and it is the only metric that walks and talks with ACAP to be able to be used to upload that data and to have the conversation about where the children are on their scores for language arts and for mathematics. And those are either trademarked or copyrighted. They belong only to Metametrics. So we're working with them so that we can have lexile scores and quantile scores for use with our ACAP.
And what do we do with those after that point?
Well, to be transparent, we are looking into, at this moment, ways to take a child, and if that child shows, and of course, as they age, our learners that are in high school, if they want to go into a particular job field, these lexile and quantile scores can be used to help give them the knowledge of where they are in their skills development to pursue that. Maybe they don't have the vocabulary base they need for a particular profession they're interested in. The other thing we're wanting to do is take those particular scores and marry them to our jobs that we are lacking for people here in the state. So if we're trying to identify through CTE the areas of our job force development that do not have enough people moving into it, and we actually would like to move forward over the next year into using these scores to help us develop educational paths for children that might be able to fill some of those deserts in our job supply.
So if they're the only one out there, it doesn't matter how widely we would advertise this for others.
For this one, yes, sir. And that's what I'm saying. I'm having these conversations with each one, but this is actually a proprietary metric that only Metametrics has, and it works with our ACAP.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just so I understand this, is the requirement to use this proprietary metric in the legislation, or is it a decision the department has made?
I do not have full knowledge of the history of the evolution of Metametrics with ACAP. I know that the ACAP was developed, and I believe that vendors came into positions to create products that would work with it. That is my understanding, that this is not local to Alabama. This is a national product that works with our ACAP. So I'm not sure if the ACAP was developed to help use this type of information, or if this was information that was developed after states started creating these tests. But usually it's a marriage one way or the other with these types of metrics.
Any other questions? Okay. Alabama Parent Education Center.
Yes, sir. So this is for special education, and this is training services, resources, provision of newsletters, family focus groups, and technical assistance to parents and families with students that have disabilities. It is required by OSEP, which is the Office of Special Education Programs, and they are the sole parent training information PTI center in Alabama. The OSEP, the federal OSEP office, decides who can be a PTI. This is the only PTI that we have that services Alabama and provides services specific to Alabama, and we've been working with them for over 6 years. My understanding is in this one, there is a need. This is a group that has created a service that fills the need, and they're the only ones that have been authorized by OSEP to fill that need for us. So they are who we are contracting with.
All right, any other questions? All right. Thank you. Please keep me posted on how the RFP for the other one goes. Geological survey.
Mr. Chairman, Bennett Bearden with the Geological Survey here today with a contract for between the Geological Survey and Weldon Hay LLC to do a pump test on a well in southeast Montgomery County that's critical to our drought monitoring system here in the state of Alabama. Please note for the record that this is 100% federal funding. It's checked as other, but it is coming graciously from the federal government.
Thank you. All right, any questions? Any ideas where we are on drought currently?
I just happen to have with me today someone that I don't need to introduce to you, Mr. Chairman, one of the top hydrogeologists in the southeastern United States, Mr. Greg Guthrie. I will let him address that.
I'd love just a quick update on where we are, if you have a minute, Greg.
Sure. We just actually left the Office of Water Resources meeting with Tom Littlepage in that office, and they gave us an update on what the national picture looks like for Alabama. It's not pleasant. We have a potential for extreme drought in North Alabama, and continued drought in South Alabama. And at our last drought meeting in the October, the entire state was under some form of drought, either a notice or at some level. We anticipate to increase that this coming month, next week, as a matter of fact. And the discussion was because of the El Nino situation that we've got extending through probably the spring of this year, that we're going to have more frequent drought meetings to keep the state notified of the conditions.
Where are we on average normal rainfall through this year? Are we?
The majority of the state is under the average value. The Jefferson County area, there in the Valley and Ridge, is about normal, but the rest of the state is below normal for this year, time of year. Actually, for the state, for the year.
This is a big deal. I'd love to stay abreast. If you ever have information, I'm interested.
Absolutely. Just let us know.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Massage Therapy Board.
This is a contract for administrative services for massage therapy. As pointed out previously in our previous discussion, this does have a 5% clause in, and I think it's the will of the board to hold this. Is that correct?
Senator Butler? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, it is. Also a 13.6% increase over last year.
Yeah, to start with, those are the issues. Representative Pringle, did you? Yes.
It's my understanding, and maybe Mr. Paulk can jump in here, the sunset will actually go through at the end of the fiscal year.
So, Mr. Chairman, members, so the Sunset Committee met and voted to sunset them, but the actual sunset will not take place until next session, which begins in February. That can happen one or two ways, just completely sunset it or sunset it and reorganize it within the actual sunset bill. And so that will not actually dissolve until this next session.
So I'll ask Representative Pringle, we're in a situation, 13.6% increase on a situation that's in question. We hold it 45 days. That doesn't get us into next year. Thoughts?
I can't remember exactly. Were there problems with that board and the audits? Were they deficient on anything?
Yes.
It's like there were some deficiencies.
Yes, sir, there were.
So we're giving them a 13% increase in administrative?
With a 5% annual on top of that.
Yeah.
To the same management company that got this board in so much trouble that we're going to sunset them and dissolve the board.
And I know you're here just to show up. Thanks. You can fake here and you can't fake showing up. One of our family mottos. So you showed up. Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, Mr. Chairman, for whatever it's worth, I don't think one of those board members has a current term right now. Not one of them.
As Senator Butler said, I think we'll hold this one and to be continued, but we will try to have a meeting with the CPO about the annual 5% increases anyway. That's a whole different level, so we'll hold this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I real quickly say one other thing? The level of audacity, this is not directed at you, please, so that you know this. The level of audacity for that board to submit this contract to the same management firm that has gotten them in this situation, the level of audacity that it takes to submit a contract that has an $18,000 a year increase, a 13.6% increase with an annual 5% increase is just hard to fathom. After this scathing report on top of other scathing reports is really, really something. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Medicaid, come on down.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. The Alabama Medicaid Agency has 5 contracts before you this afternoon. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Nick Hines on behalf of the Alabama Medicaid Agency. The agency has 5 contracts before you this afternoon. The first 2 contracts are for medical professionals will serve on the Alabama Medicaid Agency's drug utilization review.
Let me stop you there. I have no questions. Anybody have questions on page 10, top or bottom? All right, see none. Okay, go to page 11.
Yes, sir. The contract you have before you on page 11 is with Comagin Health. Comagin Health performs the federally required retrospective reviews for inpatient hospital admissions and concurrent stays for the agency.
Any questions? Thank you.
There are 2 contracts on page 12. The first is with Evacor Healthcare. This is the agency's contractor that provides prior authorizations for the services you see listed there, advanced imaging and cardiology.
Any questions? Thank you.
The last contract before you this afternoon is with CSRA State and Local Solutions, LLC. This is, as you may recall from prior contracts, this is part of the agency's shift to modularity, which is a CMS implemented requirement.
Any questions there? If I can ask one question.
Yes, sir.
How is your going through all Medicaid recipients large project going?
It's my understanding that it's going well. I believe it began in June, and it was, of course, a yeoman's task to remove so many people and go through the process required by the federal government. I don't have exact numbers as I stand here before you today, but I'm happy to go back and talk to the program area folks and provide you any kind of update.
I really just want Henry, thumbs up, thumbs down. How's it going? Okay, good. Yeah, no, it was a yeoman's task that y'all were charged with, and you didn't ask for this, and all kind of issues coming off the emergency declaration, and some that wanted off, some that wanted on, just very complicated. Thank you guys for the task you're undertaking, and keep plugging along. We're grateful for what y'all do.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Midwifery Board, top of page 13.
Good afternoon, Brad Chenoweth from the AG's office, legal counsel for the Board of Midwifery. This is an administrative services contract. It went through the RFP process, and Dr. Porterfield will be performing clerical tasks, record keeping, securing meeting space, and things like that.
Just as a point of order, there's no increase on this board this year, and we had a couple bumps on the submission. They were all corrected. Job well done. The question I do have, though, on the location of the office, you may not know where this is, but if one were to look on Google Earth and do a search, you would find that it looks like a residence. I understand people work out of their home, so.
So that is correct. Due to the limitation of this board's funds, the mailing address is a residential area. The board meets at Vestavia Hills City Hall, so that is free of charge for them.
Okay. Way to take care of your members well on that. All right, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Optometric scholarship loans and awards. I'm sorry, did I turn too far? I'm so sorry. Office of Minority Affairs. You were way ahead of me.
Oh, sorry. Good afternoon. My name is Teresa Smiley with the Alabama Office of Minority Affairs. I'm here in the absence of Director Stacia Robinson. I'm here with one contract with Indelible Management. This contract is for event planning for our office, and this contract will help us to promote our HBCU co-op program.
And they're located in Florida, doing events in Alabama?
Yes. They were RFP'd, so it's a company that we felt would best serve the needs of our office since we don't have that capacity to do events.
Any questions? Sir? Yeah, the names are not provided of the LLC. Is there a way you can get those to us? We normally would hold over that. So if you don't mind, we'll do the same here. And if you'll get us the list of who are the holders or the owners, members of the LLC.
We'll provide those names. Thank you.
Ask the question.
Yeah. Let me ask you.
Yes, sir.
I've got a raspy throat. So,
sure.
What kind of events are we talking about?
We're going to do events we'll be inviting the legislature to our HBCU events where we'll have the governor. We'll be promoting our co-op program for all of our 14 HBCU colleges. But we'll have more than just this event. We'll be doing continuous events throughout the year.
Okay. If you'll get us that list of members, that'd be helpful.
Gladly.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll
Thank you.
hold that. All right, page 14. Optometric Scholarship Loan Awards.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. James Marburg. I'm the current chairman of the Optometric Scholarship and Loan Award Program. We're very similar to dentistry. We work closely with them, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
20% increase year over year.
Same reason, sir. First raise since 2017, and we think it's fully justified, particularly for the services, particularly for the things that we asked this person to do. We pulled away from UAB because we had been working with and through UAB, and we pulled away and basically set up our organizations so that we could function separately from UAB, and that person that's handling all of this had a lot to learn and has done a magnificent job.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, Doctor.
Okay. And by the way, we did go through the RFP also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Page 15, Top Pharmacy Board.
Good afternoon. Scott Daniel with the Board of Pharmacy. We have one contract for the Southern Group for legislative services consultant. It has been through the RFP process. And just for the record, I'm here in proxy, so I will do the best I can to answer any questions you might have.
The membership of the LLC is not listed, so that's a requirement that we have, so we'll hold it for that reason. What are the services that are provided here, just out of curiosity?
They will be keeping us abreast of legislative activities, legislation. I believe it was Senator Elliott that mentioned earlier himself that he proposes legislation and doesn't know who all the players are. We're a small agency without eyes and ears on the ground. We're in the same position.
So there's another organization out there that does that. It's called the Pharmacy Association. Do y'all work together on those types of things? Or are we just layering lobbyists on top of lobbyists?
We work with the association, but we're not the same. We're it's hard to explain.
Well, speaking of legislation, I'm going to have a piece of legislation coming up here in February that says that boards can employ a lobbyist.
Okay.
They already can't.
You know, you got associations that are lobbying already. For the state to start paying lobbyists to then lobby the state, to me, is
problematic.
Yeah, thanks. I was probably going to use a different word, but yeah, it's going too far. Anyway, we don't have the LLC members, so we'll just leave it.
We think the world of Logan Gray.
Logan's a great guy.
He's been a tremendous asset for us for past. I think
we're struggling maybe
many years.
If I hear correctly with the concept of what this is, the state paying for lobbyists for boards. So that's
understood. I will convey that.
And if we can get the LLC members, that would be something we would like. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Public Health.
Good afternoon, Valerie Russell with Public Health. I'm here with one contract with Continual Impact. It's a 100% federally funded new contract up to $75,000, an 8-month contract. I can read to you what the explanation is. Or
No questions, Valerie.
All right.
Thank you very much. Transportation.
Clay McBride with AlDOT. Got two contracts for you. The first one is with Ashley Cousins Environmental Strategies and Solutions. This is monitoring of the Coliseum plume.
Any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Nor do I. Mr. McBride, next one, please, sir.
The second one is for Edwin Tillman. He's just a real estate appraiser for one of our projects.
Any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Clay, thank you.
Thanks, Clay.
Legal services. ABC Board. ABC Board. ADECA, bottom page 18.
Good afternoon, Mary Elizabeth Dial on behalf of ADECA. We've got one legal services contract before the committee today, a no-cost extension of time for the services of Mr. William Wasden with the firm Burr Foreman.
Any questions?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
AG's office, page 19.
This is a contract with Journey of the Heart LLC to provide services and consulting, contracting to provide opinions and testimony for one of our cases.
Any questions? None. Page 20. Or Jess Ford.
Thank you. This is a contractor that will provide consultation and review of the regulatory agreements with the pertaining to the utility rates.
The rate is not $195, just to note.
Correct. It has listed $250.
Yes, ma'am. 195 is our state cap. Just, I know we're aware of that. I was trying to understand the reason for the exception. Oh, this is an expert?
Expert.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
All right, good. Page 21.
WHN Consulting, this is another group that actually looks at utilities as well to provide information to us regarding the utilities and determining the rates in the process of those rates.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Corrections? We're good.
I've got these two.
She's got corrections too.
I'm doing corrections as well.
We are getting our money out of you today, that's for sure.
That's right.
Okay.
The first one is for Wallace, Jordan, Ratliff, and Brent. This is to allow that firm to continue in one of our cases.
Any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
And the next one is Capel Howard, and this is because they added, the plaintiff added a defendant, and we needed to clean the contract up so that they could get paid.
Any questions? Thank you.
No.
You can do credit unions also?
No, sir, I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Afternoon to you.
Afternoon.
We have a more or less a renewal of a contract that's come to maturity with Robert P. Reynolds law firm. And
Any
same
questions?
amounts.
No, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Mr. McBride. Any questions? Bottom page 24. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
With that, we'll adjourn. You've seen no further business. We'll meet back again next month. Thank you all very, very much.